first analyse how our media product develops or challenges conventions of real media products, we needed to establish the form and genre that we were working within. Our product was based on an action and thriller genre, so we needed to know before we started what conventions this genre contained and what it represented. After analysing audience feedback, we found that people prefer to watch something that doesn't necessarily go against or challenge conventions, and this may be to do with the comfort factor. People like watching something that they can predict as to what is going to happen. This comfort factor may also be linked to a sense of security. People go watching these movies with an intention of wanting to watch something they paid for, maybe because they are familiar with the general plot. Our objective as producers is to produce something that attracts and appeals. Therefore, we decided to make our trailer in a conventional style, not altering or challenging conventions, but more developing and working with them. Research was one of the biggest things that we had to do, and this involved browsing through countless trailers and picking out consistent elements that we were going to use took a lot of time. We wanted to embrace these conventions and somehow manipulate them so they fitted in with our idea. So as mentioned, we took note of typical codes and conventions that these action thriller movies had, and this included the obvious such as the antagonist, the protagonist, guns, violence, fast-paced action, and we also realised that all these movies had a very known ident, hence making it a Hollywood production. Because of our decision to produce a Hollywood-style action thriller, we chose a well-established known company, Universal. Universal distributes high-end Hollywood blockbusters that normally feature A-list celebrities and have a big budget. We then researched into codes and conventions of a Hollywood action thriller movie and watched a few trailers to get an idea of what features were consistent. We found that in an action movie there is always guns, violence and romantic interest and is generally fast-paced. Looking at thriller movies, the main aspect that makes it a thriller was its gory attributes and its grim deaths. As Hollywood-style production, this meant sticking with the typical codes and conventions of one. When planning out our trailer in terms of storyline and storyboards, we drafted a plot that we more or less stuck to. Our main plot was two detectives, one of them the protagonist and one an antagonist. The bad cop was a serial murderer who went around killing women who were cheating on their other halves. This happened to also include the good cop's wife. Our hero then sets out to catch this killer, unaware that it is his partner. When drafting this idea, it was screaming action, guns, blood and chase scenes to us. You could say that we didn't anticipate how difficult some of our ideas would be in terms of replicating them into reality. So we had to go back and forth on a few things such as the car scene. This included dragging a body into the back of the car. It was a lot easier said than done, and therefore we had to scrap that and condense some of our ideas to make them more manageable. Saying that, we were still able to stick to the codes and conventions of an action and thriller movie. In our trailer, we developed existing ideas of previous films and manipulated them to fit into ours. One big inspiration was from Skyfall, an action movie. We used an establishing shot of London in the style of Skyfall. It not only showed a landscape plan of London, a busy, prominent city, but as London is universally known as the aristocrat city of the world, it enhanced our style of wanting to produce something that had a sense of sophistication, very much like Skyfall. In terms of our magazine and poster, when researching films and looking at their poster magazine and comparing it with their trailer, it was obvious that they all belonged to the same production. They all had a sense of collectiveness about them, with key scenes or actors reappearing in the same attire in all three. So to stick to producing a Hollywood blockbuster that followed the codes and conventions, we aimed to make something that all had a consistent theme in all three. We chose to go with Empire magazine as our template. We researched into the magazine and looked at the codes and conventions that made it what it was. You can see that we found many recurring elements such as the bold red masthead. This branded the magazine and made it look classy as it was repeated throughout every issue. Looking back on it, it was easy to copy Empire magazine. Little was left to guessing what they would or wouldn't have. Everything was consistent in all the issues of the magazine. You can conclude that we definitely stuck by the conventions of it. However, with the magazine, it was one area in which we challenged one form and convention of it. We adapted to rare copies of Empire magazine by changing the style of the masthead. We intertwined London's landscape within the masthead's format. Looking at some copies of Empire, on rare occasions they changed their masthead to fit in with the movie. We wanted to do this, so we merged the title and the image together. The title of the magazine therefore shared similarities with the poster, which the background on that is London. Magazines and posters, as mentioned, must share a sense of collectiveness to show that they belong together, so this was our way of showing that.
The teaser trailer and the poster worked very well together. They supported each other by using the same font. and this showed the consistency throughout. Having the same font in our title of our trailer, our poster and magazine linked them all together, it produced and established a font which would be identifiable if somebody were to see it. The font becomes part of our film. People would later on see this and think of our film. Consequently, this would help with the marketing of our film. London is a key feature that we have shown throughout our magazine, trailer and poster. As our film is set in London, we needed to show prominent, recognisable landmarks. For example, we used Scotland Yard as one of the establishing shots. This also fitted in with our genre. We wanted to showcase our genre as much as possible. The police station highlighted the crime aspect of our film. The picture we used of Harvey was prominently used in our poster and magazine. In the magazine and poster, Harvey was seen wearing the same attire. This added to the element of consistency and made it obvious that it was the same film. We used one very symbolic prop throughout. This was the gun. The gun was a typical connotation of the genre. Having the same gun in the trailer supports our poster and magazine as it gives a sense of action. The constant use of this lets the audience know what they're getting into when they watch this film. Our poster interlinks with the trailer through the strong use of props to highlight our genre. For example, it is clear to see in the trailer that Harvey is being portrayed as a detective by the use of handcuffs and clothing, which link in with the poster as he has handcuffs and a gun. The audience can see the main character is being represented as a good cop throughout. The attire worn connotates him being a good cop. For example, Harvey is wearing white throughout, and this colour would typically highlight the innocent personality and as seen in the trailer and poster. I myself played the antagonist, wearing black throughout. This was done to contrast with the main character, to show the good cop and bad cop theme we had going throughout. Now looking at the colour scheme, the use of dark colours we used was very effective in linking back to the storyline, as our magazine and poster had a sense of action throughout. The colour scheme really highlighted and portrayed the use of consistency. The colours showed a murky and tense atmosphere, which we aimed to portray throughout, as this is seen usually in London crime scenes.